month, okay? But, I don't think that I don't think home prices are going to continuously go up through the wintertime because of what you're going to see is a little bit of price compression on housing, especially in our area because it's wintertime, because it does happen. And I think when you come into the spring, and we're going to go ahead and talk about it as we get into the new year. What's our prediction for the new year, Harvey, for home sales?
Yeah.
I think home sales are still going to go on. They cannot continuously be hot the way they were the last 7 years. It just can't happen.
Yeah, well, you need some balance. You need some buying and selling balance, because we had a lot of buyers that got pre-approved, and then they put in offer after offer and offer, and they get an offer, and they're all excited about it, and then they do an inspection, and then they go, okay, I'm not buying this house.
Well, I think Sir Isaac Newton said it best. What goes up must come down.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we all take your calls here. 248-539-9797. You can see we're going to have a lot to share with you. Flo brings a lot to the table, too. We talk about December typically being a little slower just because of the holidays and that same old verbiage that people use is, I'll see you after the holidays or call me after the new year. But home views are 21% typically lower in December, but unusually, we're seeing a tremendous amount of volume across the country also, Flo. Things have been picking up. I don't know if are you busy right now?
I'm busy.
Yeah, it's a really busy December. It's pretty interesting. Maybe a lot of the families have said, you know what, this is the best gift I can give my family is home ownership. And so many families have been really taking it on the, taking it hard because the rent is just gone through the roof. And so many landlords bought up these homes over the last 10 years, and they've driven the rent prices up, and up. And that home ownership, it's less money out of your pocket. It's more affordable to really become a homeowner in Southeast Michigan. We're one of the least expensive states to have home ownership because of the low property taxes.
This is a good time to buy. It's always a good time to buy in the winter time because prices will stabilize out after that big selling season, which literally is usually March, April through September, October. And then once everybody gets their kids in school, they're not worrying about buying houses then for a few months till after the holidays. So for those people out there that would want to buy a house, this is a great time because typically you're not competing in December as you were, especially last year where, like Rosemary just said, there were 6-7 offers on a house, and people did get discouraged. You get discouraged when you keep getting beat out in these multi-offer situations. So every time I've bought a house for myself, I buy it in December, January, February.
There you go. And people are serious about selling.
They are serious about selling, and the buyers this time of year are serious buyers.
Right.
They're not going out in the snow and the dark to look at houses unless they really like to buy a house.
Yeah, and that's an experienced opinion right there. That's a historical experienced opinion. It's absolutely a fact, too. When I say that, Flo, I'm kind of having a little bit of fun here because, I want to say this. I'm going to sound like the old guy in the room, which I am right now.
Yes, you're older than me.
You just know that people aren't going to go out and traipse through the ice and snow and the cold and everything to go buy a house unless they're serious. And likewise, somebody's not going to have their house being trudged through with snow and ice and slush into their house unless they were serious about selling a house. It just works that way, everybody out there. And I want to let everybody know that it is a great time to buy. And when you talk about being busy now, Harvey, relationships at this time of year are often more easy to form because everybody's going through the holiday spirit. Everybody feels pretty good. Everybody's looking forward to, like you're saying, the old adage, well, talk to me after the holidays. Well, if you're out and about and you're in a business climate right now, people are a little bit more jovial. They're a little bit more friendly, and you can establish those relationships. And if you're a seller and a buyer comes through your house, your realtor is probably more apt to go ahead and get that person to make an offer because, you know what, they really want to buy and they're in the mood to buy.
And inventory is down. So the sellers right now that are actually on the market should take advantage of that. So if your house is clean and nice,
it's going to sell.
It's presented, and you've got a serious buyer going through on the way to their Christmas party, you've got a great chance of selling your home right now.
Yeah. Well, also let's talk about being priced right, too, where you're the expert there.
Yes. Well, it's always a good idea to make sure you're careful about the price you choose because you don't want to be chasing the market. So you don't want to be let's see how I want to say this. You don't want to be ahead of the market, I should say, not chasing it, but you don't want to be on top of the market and ahead of it So then the market has to chase you.
You mean you don't want to be the highest price on the block?
Correct. You don't.
People won't even look at the house.
Well, and if you are the highest price on the block, then you need to have something to show for
it. You better look like the highest price on the market.
Look like the highest.
Brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, and everything else. Recent months, obviously.
Squeaky clean and nice. Well, the house needs good paint and good carpet. I always tell my sellers, you want to be able to have people walk in and feel like they can set their baby on the floor. So
there you go.
That's important
because that's where the baby's going to end up anyway.
That's where the baby's going.
That's call anyway.
Right, on the floor.
Well, home prices definitely flattened out, giving the buyers a little bit of control back, right? They don't have to feel that added pressure. They don't have to waive inspections. We're going to talk about that, a whole bunch of things. 45% of the first-time home buyers next year, I guess, are going to be millennials. 17% are the baby boomers, and 37% of the Gen Xers.
Well, who do you think had the millennials? The baby boomers. Okay, so if the baby boomers, which was the largest segment of our population, had children, if the largest segment had children, then sooner or later their children were going to become the largest segment of a population that we're going to buy something.
Exactly.
It's just not that difficult to figure out. So why is everybody up in arms about millennials? I don't care what you call them. They're our kids. Our kids are buying houses. That's how this works.
That's how it works.
They have a little bit different taste than we do.
Hey, Flo, when we come back, we got so much to share with everyone. You could feel the vibe in here. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. We're back. 9:15. If you just joined us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's right, we got a full office all weekend long. Call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. You get a really strong, easy for me to say, really strong approval letter. What we do is we gather your documents, we run you through the AUS system so you're completely approved. Then we break down and we make sure that you have all your documentation and we ask you all those tough questions. Again, we hear often that there's closings that are blowing up at the last minute. You want to avoid all your headaches and enjoy the experience. Okay, call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Easy as that. Again, we take your calls here all morning long, 248-539-9797. Love to hear from you. Let's go out to Elizabeth. Got calling in from Allen Park. Elizabeth, good morning. Welcome to our show. What's your question?
Good morning. Thank you. I have a question for Mark and Patty Henderson. I just want to know, what was, your reason for getting into the real estate business? And how does, that reason or passion, help potential clients for buying or selling a property and, all that stuff?
I like that word passion, that's for sure. Hey, guys, that's a pretty good one.
I'll take that one.
Can you get into the mic a little bit? Yeah, there you go.
My background is I was a paralegal for almost 20 years, working in bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So watching people lose their houses, that was very sad. I didn't like doing all that. So I started thinking, I'd like to help people find a new home and see their dream actually happen. I looked it up, tried to find out where I could go into school and work toward getting my real estate license. And I did that and just kept going.
Then you dragged Mark off. Mark was in some other field or something, but in sales and stuff. And he said, wait a minute here. I like homes. And, you see a lot of people getting in our industry, although we've had a plethora of maybe too many people over the last 7 years because it looked like an easy ticket to make some easy money. On the other hand, so many families, so many of them out there, we're only doing 1 or 2 transactions, really getting in the way of a lot of good business and stuff. And there's not a lot of professionalism. When you're just starting off, you really got to learn. Mark, where's the learning curve? What do you think it takes to really learn the business real well?
Well, with my background, I've had 30 years experience in sales, so I've been into negotiating and taking care of clients and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that we looked at getting in there is making sure we got all our education in. We did some mentoring with a couple other brokers and agents, and the biggest thing that we look at is making sure our clients are taken care of. We take care of our clients first and foremost. Everything else will happen and come secondary, but our clients is the most important thing that we take care of.
Yeah, it's really fun and exciting, especially when a transaction. There's so many things going on in a transaction. I guess maybe, I don't know how people think they hit a button and they're going to get a mortgage. They don't, because they call me up a year later and they say, Harvey, I went somewhere else and they don't even know what 2 + 2 is on a mortgage. So I do think there's a certain amount of knowledge that comes with it. And I think the best way to learn about buying a house is to buy one. I mean, I always thought like that was always felt like
buy 2 or 3. Hey.
I was like second year in the industry when I bought my first house. And yeah, sure, I was learning, but boy, nothing like really going through the process because there's so many moving parts, we say, from the offer being accepted. First, you got to be approved and have your ducks in a row. And now you're out there navigating and looking for a house, Pete. You've got a lot of things to get together.
There's one thing also that you don't understand until you buy a house yourself. And I think we should buy a house, every 2 or 3 years, just to remind us of what it feels like to be a buyer and the stress and the apprehension and the worry and all of that happens even to us as professionals. Last time you bought a house, did you feel it?
No, those were easier, but I agree with you. I think that the first one was the most stressful because, but once you've done it a few times,
Always aggravated. A Mike Valenti signature podcast. Get it on radio.com and Apple iTunes. 97.1 The Ticket.
Welcome back to the show, 9:17. Good morning to everyone out there. December 8, 2018. We got some sunny weather for the next 4 days. High today at 32. They say it's going to heat up tonight to 18. And then maybe a little bit of nicer weather throughout the week. This is home buying season, Flo. You'll tell everyone out there. We'll take all your calls here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show again. 248-539-9797.
So, Harvey, I love spirited conversation with Flo and you guys about interest rates because interest rates really... right now, when people want to talk about interest rates, again, we're at the low end of the spectrum on interest rates, and people are worried that, how high are interest rates going to go? And we had a texter just text in and said, you should explain to people what happens when inflation hits and rates start going up and how that's going to decrease home prices. Well, it's simple economics. And what this person's trying to get out is they're saying that, interest rates are going to go up. Yes, interest rates could continuously go up. How soon, how fast, it's all speculation.
Correct. Okay? It always is.
I can promise you this, they're not going to be at 9 or 10% next year. Okay, so we know that. And even if inflation starts ramping up, that in and of itself, that in and of itself will not decrease home prices. What decreases home prices is supply and demand. The lack of people demanding housing, goes ahead and will decrease a home price. And this person's saying, well, if inflation goes up and rates go up, well, that'll decrease the demand, and that could be true. But you're talking about numbers that incrementally are very low numbers. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and interest rates are going to be at 10%. It's not going to happen. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and inflation is going to be out of control at 5, 6, 7%. It's not going to happen. Now, history will tell you, and this is the boring part, and that's why I like history, because it's history. In the late 70s and early 80s, inflation was running rampant, and that's why rates went up to 15, 18%. I'm here to tell you it's not going to happen, and we could see a decreasing cycle in rates in late 2020, because this economic cycle, you've seen the last 2 years, and you've seen the last 2 years have, I'm going to use a term from a previous Fed Fed chairman, irrational exuberance the last 2 years.
Mr. Greenspan, you're quoting.
That's right. And then the midterm election curbed that, and you're seeing where the stock market is going right now. And quite frankly, interest rates went down a little bit last week because of all the volatility in the market. Now, that's pretty deep stuff on a Saturday morning at 9:30.
Talk about history, though. Don't you remember when you could almost predict what the interest rates were going to be doing by looking at the stock market because it was almost an automatic thing?
Well, I think I think that there's more, there's more turmoil in the world right now. I think there's more questions about the economic factors. Yeah. I think there's uncertainty all over the place, and I think that there are more financial instruments that there were back in the 1970s.
Whether they go up or down, most people still need a place to live.
There you go. We still need. We're in a good business.
You have to have a house to live in because
shelter,
right? Because you can rent for a short period of time, but the house is something you'll never make your own, and the landlord can notify you at the end of the lease he's not renewing it because he's going to sell it. You have to uproot your children if you have children. So at the end of the day, owning a house,
so Flo, that's basically
is the best.
That's what matters. Okay,
correct.
We can go through all the statistics. You can go all through all the theories, and you go through all the analytics and all the metrics. The bottom line is people still need a place to live.
They need a place to live.
And that's the deal.
A place to live that they like, that they're comfortable, that is convenient maybe to their family and friends or to their work, depending. A lot of people work at home now, so that's not as big of an issue as it used to be.
Right.
But we also want people to be able to afford it, too.
And maybe instead
absolutely.
Of
you have to be cautious.
Right. And instead of getting the $500,000 houses, if the interest rates go up, maybe you only can afford $450,000.
Always.
But then prices will come down theoretically if there's, less demand. But you have to see. But
you should always buy what you can afford.
Yeah, throughout the years,
not be pressured to spend more.
There you go. Exactly. That's right. Throughout the years, except for a couple blips, guys. Throughout the years, except for a couple blips in our history, the safest place to invest has been real estate.
Yes,
they're not making any more dirt.
There you go.
That's how it works. Location is still key.
And you always need a place to live. You always going to have to have a place.
I'll throw this out there. We're taking your phone calls live, as we always do. 248-539-9797. Start getting into the inversion yield curve, signaling economic slowdown. This gets pretty technical stuff. At the end of it, the tariffs out there, the uncertainty with China and what's going to go on across geopolitical events across the world sometimes can affect things here locally. But again, we're all in these great economic times here. Unemployment's very low, and people are working here. A little bit of a scare. We talked about it a couple weeks ago as GM announced that they're going to have some layoffs. It does affect us locally as this trickles down to all our auto suppliers and everyone in here right in Southeast Michigan. So we do have to be a little bit cautious here as we move forward. But great stuff out there, great opportunities. Again, this is a great place to live. We're going to call it, I think my brother termed it the other day, he calls it mini Chicago. He said, it's nuts now that everyone's moving back here because, yes, we do have a lot of great things going on here. We've got affordable housing, one of the least expensive property taxes across the United States. So lots of
more secure weather conditions as well.
Oh boy, don't we? I mean, other than some cold and snow, right? We don't have the fires, the tornadoes. I was reading a
study that they said Michigan's population will increase because of that.
And the water.
Well, you read in my mind here. I'm like, why don't people live here with all these crazy things going on across the United States along the seaboard?
And as far as plant closings, Chrysler announced they're opening a new plant in Detroit.
In Detroit, they're going to build Jeeps there.
So yeah,
that was great news.
It's a good thing.
248-539-9797. Flo, I want to talk to you a little about technology. Of course, when we started in the industry, there wasn't as much technology as there today.
Yeah, there was a book with pictures, black and white.
Hey, but isn't it true, Flo, with everything, other than the fact that families can go out there and sort of view the property online and all the pretty pictures and videos and such, but isn't it true that nothing takes place of getting in a car and going and seeing that home?
Oh, I can't even tell you how many times we walk in the door and people tell me, oh, my God, this doesn't look anything like the pictures.
I know, kind of like dating, huh?
Well, there you go.
I had to throw that was too easy.
That's what I hear from young people. Sorry. In the meantime, that's correct. You can't ever truly tell what something's like till you get into it because the pictures are pictures of a few rooms. They don't show if it's immaculate. They don't show if it's really dirty. They don't show the backyard and what your view is in the backyard or what your view is out of the front window. And those things are really important.
How about other facets, too? Like, what's the neighborhood like? Is there a lot of turnover? Where's the schools located? Is there some functional obsolescence? Like, is there a railroad track behind you or commercial buildings around the corner?
So,
all those things.
And they don't show if the plane flies so low over your house you can wave to the pilot. So, those things are not in the picture. So you do have to go look at a house. You can never judge a book by its cover.
Every time I went to a closing late on a Thursday, and every time I go to a purchase closing, it reminds me of how great that interaction is when everyone's in the same room, buyer, seller, and technology's sort of heading that way where they're going to do these e-closings. Well, let me tell you something. There was more knowledge shared at that closing table in that 30 to 45 minutes than anything that they had done previously in the last 30 days on the house. Besides the fact that we found out where the kids get picked up for the school bus and the garbage collection and the neighbor who in the
That's where the warm fuzzies start. That's where it really that's like a ritual. It's like when you're getting married, okay, you're engaged and you're very close and you're living with your partner, but when you get married, you go through that ritual. It's a rite of passage. So that closing, when you're sitting with the title agent, when you're sitting, I remember my closing. I bought a house 22 years ago, and when I went to buy the house, I was looking at 10 the same day. All right, so I'm taking notes, and I'm a businesswoman. I'm doing mortgages. It's all. Well, when I get to closing, I was like, and I'm going to change the kitchen cupboards, and I'm going to redo the bathroom, and I'm going to redo the basement. And the lady, older lady, she was like, oh, Mrs. Ashley. I'm like, ma'am, you can call me Rosemary. But she's like, I am so glad. When you walked through our house, we thought you weren't going to love it like we did.
Oh, okay.
And that bothered us. But now I can tell you're going to love this house. I'm like, yes, it's my first house, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And that makes a huge difference.
Well, it's such a great emotional experience.
Exactly.
And it's a very happy experience for people. People already have that vision of what they want it to be, just like you did. Everybody has that, what they're going to do.
Right.
Sometimes when paint or carpet or whether they're going to knock down walls, people get very, very excited. And it's fun. It's fun to be at a closing like that.
Yeah, sometimes when people sell their mom's house who's passed away, and they meet the family, they feel so much better because going into that closing, they were very apprehensive. And then they get better feelings when they see a nice young family's going to come and take good care of the house.
Nothing like human interaction still. That's what I want to hear. 248-539-9797. We come back. All of your calls.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse-Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Welcome back to the show, 9:45. If you're just waking up, hey, it's going to go up to 42 degrees today. Bring your umbrella, though. The rain's coming about at noon. And then maybe it's going to rain all night. But, hey, we'll take the 42 and we'll take close to 50 degrees tomorrow. Thaw things out here. Enjoy your weekend here in Southeast Michigan. Get down to Detroit. Spend some money at all those restaurants. There's only a couple million of them out there. Pete, what do you got going on for tonight?
Well, you know what? I had big plans for a Big Ten championship game.
Oh,
I guess I'm still going to watch that. But
all right, we'll talk. We got sports following us at 10 o'clock. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Show again. If we're taking all your calls here, 248-539-9797. Let's roll off to a call here. We got Rick calling in from Sterling Heights. Good morning, Rick. You're live on the ticket.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, how you doing?
I had a question regarding investment properties and what you thought the opportunity for investment properties going into the next year or two might be, and if any of these programs you've been discussing would apply to investment properties.
Well, no, they don't. None of the MSHDA programs don't at all. Investment properties on the mortgage side of things, and I'm going to let, of course, Mark answer on the real estate side, but on the mortgage side of things, Pete, as we know, it's 20% down. Mm-hmm. You can buy any house you're looking at. You're buying it as an investment or as a rental. Most of the families are buying and holding now. The flip opportunities aren't there like they have been in years past because the market is sort of caught up to itself. So I do like the idea, Rick. Yeah, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. It's a good way to change your portfolio up and, diversify your portfolio. As you've seen, the stock market gave back all of my profits this year. It seems like we've given it all back. Is that what you're thinking, Rick? Some maybe diversification?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've talked to some folks that hold investment properties, and they've talked about the opportunities washing up because prices have gone up substantially, but I just wondered if, you can still pick and choose in different areas and find some good deals.
I could probably jump in on that one. As long as you got a good real estate agent, they can actually get in there and actually start searching through. My wife and I actually have a couple of investors that we're working with right now. And Harvey's right. I mean, they're not out there to pick and choose just about anything you want. You actually have to look for them. And we've got a couple clients that we're looking deep, dark dives, trying to find something for them to get into that's going to be valuable to them, and it's going to be worth the jump, and either turn it into a rental or a possible flip.
To sharpen. Game Day Uncensored starts tomorrow at 9 on 97.1 The Ticket.
All right, welcome back to the show, 9:31. Good morning if you're just getting up. Be safe out there. Roads are dry. Sun is shining. It's going to be a pretty weekend here, a little on the cold side. So listen to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's where you call to get a real approval letter. And as we're at the break here, Flo Apke, professional real estate agent, only 32 years experience at St. Harvey. Let's get into this, talking about real approvals, setting people up for success. And there's no doubt, Flo, we talk about it all the time. Sometimes it's as simple as when you talk to a borrower, and they might even be shopping us or calling us around. And right. One of the questions I ask them, like, well, did you provide, if they tell me, Harvey, I've already got an approval letter, and I say, oh, good. Did you supply these documents, these specific documents? And the answer is no.
Or did they ask you as many questions as I did? Did they ask you, okay, how long have you been at your company? Okay, how long have you been doing overtime? Okay, how long have you been on commission? And, oh, what did you do before that? They're not asking the in-depth questions that can make or break a deal.
If your mortgage person is not asking all those questions, okay, and they're not making it easy for you, they're making it harder for you. If you think more questions making it hard, exactly right. So what Flo really means is, Flo gets here. Let's go through the scenario. I hand Flo a pre-approval letter because I'm Flo's buyer. Flo looks at it and says, okay, it looks good. Flo just wants to make the call to the mortgage person or not and know that what's written on the paper is worth it. Okay, that's a real commitment, because she doesn't want to have to go back after the fact and explain to her seller that, well, it really didn't mean what it said on the paper. And we see that a lot. We get that call a lot.
And sellers are heartbroken when things go bad and there was a pre-approval. And that's what the first thing they'll say is, but they were pre-approved.
Well, so are the buyers, too.
Right.
So are the buyers. They go,
the buyers were pre-approved.
Right, and the buyers are heartbroken.
And the buyers are heartbroken. They've wasted money.
Yeah,
they've wasted money on an inspection, sometimes on an appraisal, and that's because nobody was thorough to begin with.
You got to be thorough. You got to ask those tougher questions.
Nobody asked the tough questions. Nobody made sure everything was in order. It always makes me feel bad when a buyer gets rejected well into the deal for something that happened 3 years ago that a good loan rep that was thorough would have caught way before.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And oftentimes
reading the credit report is a really good thing.
There's a lot of things that can get fixed if you catch them.
Well, look at student loans. Look at student loans. Depending on what kind of loan you want, that student loan is going to be counted differently. Okay, so if you just go poof, 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 pop, pop, beep, do you approve? Hey, let's go. Here's your pre-approval letter. Okay, well, and the truth, I've had people that were approved by other people that I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't get that loan.
Well,
what do you mean?
That's the biggest misnomer out there right now, okay? If you're punching in all your information into a phone and it pops up and says you're approved, okay? Kind of not really.
Because not really at all.
It's gonna approve whatever you put in there. So
and
it
a customer
really
does not.
Depth.
They don't know how to calculate income for qualifying purposes.
Exactly.
Oftentimes, people work overtime, and they can look at their W-2s, and it includes a lot of overtime, but that doesn't always count.
Correct.
When they're looking at the past 2 or 3 years of income.
Right. There's definitely a lot of little small things that can pop up that can really derail a great transaction.
A lot of moving parts going on.
Absolutely.
We've got
That's why you need a professional.
There you go. Flo Apke, Real Living Key Realty, St. Clair Shores. Flo's been around a long time. Again, over 30 years in the industry. She's been a broker for well over 25 years.
Hey, Harv, ask Flo what she thinks about appraisal values.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
I'm not asking you. All right. We'll wait then.
Flo, one of the things is across the country, we definitely know that homes are older. But here in Michigan, homes were built in the 50s. Many of them, a large percentage of them. Homes here are 60 to 7 years old, especially on your side of town. The Grosse Pointes were built way back. There are a lot of new constructions. There's been a lot of rehabbing, of course, over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But
Spot building.
Yeah, spot building, picking up some of the older homes that haven't been fixed up. We see them knocked down, and they're filling in some subdivisions. Regarding purchases, home inspections, could you just share with me, there were so many families just waiving things, and then they find out later in time that things were wrong with the house. Can you just talk a little bit about, when you're looking at an older home, having those inspections set up ahead of time? Just give me a little bit of commentary on that.
When you're looking at an older home, you should get a good inspector. So you should make sure it's somebody that has qualifications that you're comfortable with, that you check out, that actually knows what they're looking at and has experience. It's really important. Mm-hmm. And then at that point in time, you should definitely look at or really consider what the major components of a house, what condition they're in. Because if some paint is peeling in the corner of a window, and I've had inspectors that
might be a little moisture there.
Yeah, I've had inspectors that will concentrate on all kinds of little junk, but they don't really get into the big important thing.
Yeah.
So
heating and cooling systems.
Correct. The heating and cooling system, and even that, a furnace is $3,000, but the roof is a new roof is expensive. And if it's leaking into the house, into the attic, there's more than just the new roof.
Yeah, a little mold action.
Right. So basements that are problematic can be expensive too, and it's sort of unknown as well.
Right. Harvey, let me ask her the question.
What will it cost?
Is there a time when you would ever waive an inspection?
Me?
Yes.
No, I
my girl.
Not at all.
I don't often ever suggest anybody waive an inspection. In fact, I always suggest that they have an inspection.
Right. Well, the knowledge of a professional like you, Flo, I think so often we're talking to agents and there's no communication there. And I think, as we were talking about the technology, are the younger, less experienced people, or just even the brand new agents, are they using technology to fill in the gap because they don't have the experience? And I think that's what it is. And ultimately, that's going to hurt the buyers. Because the technology doesn't make up for what you're telling me to do. Get the sewer line inspection. Harvey, don't look at the small things. Don't look at the peeling paint in this corner. Let's really look at the foundation and understanding this is a crawl, a slab, a basement, all the nuances of what we have here in Michigan.
Yeah, technology does drive how people think. And as far as waiving inspections, at that point, you typically have agents that you're working with. Even if you've used technology to get started with, you've got an agent. And oftentimes, I think people waive inspections because they feel pressure, especially this last few years where they're competing. One of the things you could do to maybe win out would be to waive the inspection. And there's where you have to be careful.
That's kind of scary. That's kind of scary because you never know what you're walking into.
If you have resources, it's one thing. So if you have resources and you have money in the bank and you say, well, if it needs a new roof, okay, I can afford that. But if you don't have significant resources to handle problems, you should never waive it.
I promise you there are individuals out there that regret waiving an inspection.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
If for no other reason, so you can budget. Okay, my roof is going to be good for another 3 to 5 years.
That's a great point.
I mean, when I had my inspection, they said, okay, you can expect your water heater to go anytime because it's beyond.
But at least know, at least get it. At least get it, and then it's your choice to go ahead and ignore it or note it and realize what you're going to have. At least it's all disclosed that you're going to have a bad roof, bad furnace, bad foundation, all the bad things that can happen.
Hey, 248-539-9797. We take your calls here live. Again, you're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call at the office all week long, all weekend long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. And as Flo will tell you, we investigate it. We really dig in the trenches, and we get you a strong approval letter. We'll run your file through and verify your funds to close. And if you're a real estate agent out there, you know that when you're working with people that it's going to close, that you have the confidence because they have the confidence, and nothing will take place of that knowledge. Build that knowledge bank, understand your approval, understand if you're a borderline approval case because of whatever some situation you had in the past, and how to fix those things.
You have a singular point of contact. If you call our office and you talk to Rosemary, what you're going to get is you're going to get her day in and day out. She's your contact person. You're not going to get transferred around to 15 different people. She's the one that's going to make sure that your file, that you're getting taken care of. Whatever questions you have a singular point of contact. That's very important. All you consumers out there are driving on the road. How many of you out there are tired of being put on hold all the time, being transferred around?
Really important to talk to a person, and it's really important to have people that answer the phone or call you back in a reasonable amount of time.
And to have the expertise, because let's face it, our job is not only we got a sales job and we've got technician. We have to be experts at what we do. And as we know, there are people in our industry that aren't. They're excellent at marketing, but that's only one aspect. That's how the customers come in the door. But then once they come in the door, they want the expertise to go look up the information, to know, yes, go this way. You know, here's the advice I have for here. If you do a few things, you'll be here. And that's where no matter how much technology you use to communicate and effectively get the docs and
everything. I think technology is great. I think personal interaction and technology is very dangerous.
Yeah, those are both. Two great things together.
Combination.
Yeah, maybe the tech trend helps buyers and sellers. Exposure to the house. It definitely gets your house exposed, but you got to get out there and take a look at all these different properties, see how it fits into your lifestyle. All right, that music just says we're up against a quick break here. We got tons to share with you. Let's talk a little bit about housing as an investment. Maybe some of you want to defer some of your money out of your portfolios and maybe take a look at a rental. We'll talk a little bit about that. 248-539-9797.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
So I always name off my downriver cities. You got Woodhaven, Riverview. I just like to keep up with them. Grosse Ile, Brownstown, Taylor, Wyandotte, Wayne, Allen Park. Is Allen Park considered like the northest, or is Dearborn considered maybe the north part of that, sort of area?
Actually, I think the Allen Park is probably considered the most north, and then Dearborn is actually another entity.
Okay, there you go.
Downriver has been, it has been hopping. Wyandotte's been hot. Allen Park is hot right now. Some of the other cities have cooled down a little bit, but we're still out there. We're running.
Yeah, a lot of fun for you guys. I mean, again, we know this is a slower time of the year because it's a holiday season, and people sometimes, I'll call me after the holidays. Hey, Mark and Patty, I know you'll sell me a house, but now's the time. I mean, Mark, you sort of came out and started the show with it and said, you know what, now it's just an opportunity with low interest rates still. Pete's already told us that, of course, the interest rates, although they burped up a bit, nothing like 9.5 when we got in the business and back in 92. So with the great opportunities out there, just that less competition makes it easier. You don't have to feel that pressure. Boy, that pressure is going to be back out in April, isn't it?
It's going to hit hard, and what they're talking about is this coming year is going to be even bigger than this past year.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so there's more and more buyers out there. Even though the rates have trickled up a little bit, the advantages to home ownership always are better than renting a home. So Great opportunities out there. Again, we want to take your calls, 248-539-9797. We always got so much to cover here. We're going to have sports at 10 o'clock. Pete, you and I were just talking about, we talked yesterday, all these great renovation loans, whether it be an FHA 203K loan or a conventional loan. And then we talked about how you got to have a great team in order to make these loans happen. Can you give the audience a little bit of information about how that process starts. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm going to say this: when done properly, the 203K or the home style renovation loan is a fantastic product. Okay, but it is paperwork intensive, and you have to know. It's like you have to know before you take the first step what your next 10 steps are going to be. You can't get into the middle of it and then just try and figure it out. Okay, it's very important to have a team. You need to have a contractor with you. I mean, I would say you have to pick your contractor well before you pick your house if you're going to go down that route. Okay, because the contractor needs to know what he's talking about.
One of our cost consultants has his own group of contractors because he's realized that the ease in making these programs really work well is having the contractors that know they're going to get 50% of the money when they start, but they're not going to get paid on the project till the project's all done.
Right.
So it's so important to have guys that have, obviously the contractors have to be licensed, insured, but they also have to have some money and some financial means behind them to get the work done.
Another thing to keep in mind is, when you're looking for houses, you're a buyer. You don't know really what things cost. You're thinking.
The Ticket.
All righty, I love that jam. Keep it going. Good morning. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Show. All for another 14, 15 minutes or so. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports for you sports junkies. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket all day long. We're going to be covering sports. Probably got a Red Wing game or something later. I don't know. The guys behind there. Yeah, I get a little nod. Okay, I get a little Red Wings action later. And we're taking your calls. 248-539-9797. Flo Apke's in from Real, what do you call that? Real Living, Key Realty. Real Living. Here you go.
Real Living.
Great office there in St. Clair Shores. Flo's been around forever, so we're going to go to these calls. Let's try Ryan first. Ryan, you got a call calling in from Canton, and there you go. Hey, Ryan, what's up?
Hey, I wanted to know if, as realtors, you let your clients know about uncapping. Because as an assessor, that's one of the biggest complaints we have about realtors.
Excellent question.
Yes, I do. And I think most experienced realtors do. So when they buy a house, the assessment or the taxable value often doesn't match the assessed value. I understand that. And it is going to uncap. And oftentimes within the first year or two, their taxes will go up a reasonable amount sometimes, especially if you've bought a house that somebody's lived in since 1995. It's going to uncap and their taxes will go up quite a bit. So I cover that carefully. So when my buyer makes a purchase in 2 years, they can still afford the house. I think most professional realtors do. But you definitely need an experienced realtor for that.
It's a nice question, too. Hey, Ryan, you said you were an assessor?
Yes, sir.
Without giving away...
3 assessor.
Okay, good. Without giving everything away. So if I buy a $300,000 house in Canton today, and let's just say the sellers have lived there for whatever, 15 years, do you come to the house? What does the purchase price, how does this work? What is the house assessed at? How do you determine the value?
We determine the value based on a 2-year sales study that we do every year of like homes, so homes that are similar to the house that was sold. They're grouped in neighborhoods, and it's not based on the neighborhood that the home is in. It's based on all of the like homes in Canton. We could have 3 or 4 neighborhoods grouped together that were built around the same time. They'll all have similar foundations, so either basements would be grouped with basements.
Gotcha.
Slabs would be grouped with slabs.
Mm-hmm. All colonials are together, and then you sort of match up the square footage.
Hey, Ryan, this is Harry Glanz. I have a question for you, because people are going to ask us this question. They want to hear it as they're driving around or listening to this. I buy a house, and I close in December of 2018 or January of 2019. And I buy the house for $300,000, and previous houses have sold in that neighborhood for $250,000, $275,000. When are my taxes going to go up?
The year following the transfer. So if you buy it now, today, it will the uncapping will occur in 2019.
So the summer tax bill of 2019 is where you see your first hit.
Yes, sir.
And of course,
there have been substantial jumps.
And Ryan,
we've had people come in and say, the previous owner was paying $2,500. Why am I paying $10,000?
I've had customers call.
It can be that big of a difference.
I've had customers call with the same situation, and what I learned recently was that if you buy, let's say before the homestead exemption, if you got a non-homesteaded house, you buy it in February, you're going to get the homestead exemption based on the current year's taxes. Right away.
Correct, if you buy before June 1st.
Right, but then next year, that's when you're going to get hit for the value and the uncapping, correct?
Correct, absolutely. And we've had a lot of people come in saying, my realtor said my taxes would go down because it was non-homesteaded previously. And that's not the case.
Not always the case, yeah.
Right. Well, they might go down based on what they were, but then they're going to go up based on the uncapping, especially if somebody's lived there a long time.
Ryan, I love you calling in, and I want to hear more from you.
We should have Ryan on the show.
The homestead actually affects the tax rate, not the taxes. You pay 18 less mills for the. You don't pay the school operating tax if you own and operate or own and occupy your home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, is it okay if
the tax rate, not the taxes?
Now, this is something I do presentations for real estate agents monthly. Is this something you'd like to present? Would you like to share it with other people?
I could put something together, sure.
There you go.
I'll take your number after the show. Thank you.
We'll hook you all up, Ryan. We appreciate the call.
The producer already has it.
Yeah.
Great.
There you go. Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan, thanks for the call.
Thank you so much. Great question.
Man.
Fantastic.
Nice having an assessor. Always you can check the millage of the city that you're going to be buying, and you can also check to see what election information was out there. Again, millages passed. Cities have a new building, community centers, police and fire. So there's a lot of millages that pass, and sometimes that'll bump the property taxes up the following year. Hey, let's move off to Cheryl calling in from Detroit. Cheryl, you got a question about a roof inspection. Hopefully it's for us. Go ahead.
Yes, and I was just listening to him also. That is very confusing to a person that don't know anything about when they first buying a home.
That's why you want to get an expert.
That's why you're listening, and we appreciate that.
Very confusing, very, very confusing. But I'm calling in because I purchased a VA home, and a year after I purchased that home, I've got a leak coming, that's like a bungalow, a leak coming from the upstairs to downstairs in the bedroom. Also, I have a plugged up sink that continues to stop up.
Let me jump in. Cheryl, we're gonna get you the right help, that's for sure. Well, you didn't get a VA home, you got a VA mortgage, but you purchased the home as is, right? So homes are homes, whether the name of the mortgage could be an FHA, a VA, or conventional. I'm just sort of clarifying that up for anyone listening. But when you bought this home, Cheryl, how many years ago was it?
Oh, this is just about almost 2 years now.
All right. And did you do a home? You bought a home. You got a home inspection at the time. You bought a home that's a little on the older side, and you're incurring some problems now. Did you do a proper home inspection when you purchased it?
Well, I got a inspection.
Mm-hmm. Well, things.
I don't know.
Well, homes here in Michigan, I mean, it rains, it snows, there's ice. There are issues with homes, and you have to have some deferred maintenance, and you need some money to fix those things. Cheryl, are you looking for some help? Maybe I can call you off the air and get you the right roofing people to come out there and take a look at the right price.
Oh, could you please?
Yeah, we can even refer back to even Adam's show to find out who the top roofers are in the area. We know a lot of great people. And again, they won't gouge you, and we'll take care of our fellow Detroiters. So thank you for calling in this morning.
Thank you all.
All right, bless you. I love that.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Again, it just goes to show you too. Understand what you're doing. Get more and more professionals. As we sort of talked a little bit about technology and human interaction this morning, nothing can replace learning, getting professionals out there, and learning what you're doing. It's just don't try to wing it. This is something that it's a roof over your head. Use that.
When you're looking to buy a house, I mean, that's where you want to have resourceful professionals, because you've got a lot of questions when you buy a house, and that's where the experience comes to play. If I've never encountered such a problem or a situation, I've encountered something like it, and I can tap into my experience. And I'm sure Flo's got a million stories.
Well, the best inspectors can't predict always what will happen 2 years down the line either, because you could have had a bad storm. Shingle could have blown off that you can't see from the street.
That's right.
And that's where the leak's coming. So it's just best once something like that happens to then get a professional roofing company, if that's your issue or whatever your issue is, a good professional roofing company
from somebody referred personally,
that comes
somebody
with
who's
recommendations,
got
that's licensed.
Personal referrals are key.
So yes, to take a look.
All right, things are very affordable here. Michigan currently is the 11th lowest median home value in the country. Things are affordable. As Flo mentioned earlier, it's a pretty safe state to live in. We don't have natural disasters. We definitely don't have those crazy fires.
Well, here and there, but not often.
Yeah, but not often. Like I said, I don't want to jinx us. The sun will never show again.
But it's showing beautiful today.
So good stuff out there. Again, 248-539-9797 if you want to join the show. A couple of quick mentions real quick. MSHDA program still has a good amount of money in it. The MSHDA program, the Step Forward program, is the $15,000 program. We'll give you $15,000 if you qualify to use for the purchase of a house.
In specific zip codes.
Yes.
Specific zip codes.
That's a great program.
Excellent.
61 zip codes.
Great program.
Absolutely, it's a great program.
I use it often.
Yep, and families have been using the MSHDA program, the old-fashioned program also, Flo, as you know.
7,500, yes.
Nothing wrong with having 7,500 given to you to purchase a house.
Helps a lot of people buy their first home.
Yep, and it's really the qualifications of it are just pretty general. You can't have more than $10,000 in savings. It doesn't include your 401k. So again, it's not set up for people. It's really set up for lower to middle income families. But families in Washtenaw County can make over $100,000. So it's not like a low income program. It's just a great program that the state's willing to have a second mortgage.
Excellent point.
That sort of falls off. You don't have to repay.
Because a lot of people think of MSHDA loans that are for lower income, really? Lower to mid, but you can go up to 224.5.
Yeah, that's a beautiful home in most places. So
it used to be, but it is not the case anymore.
What's not?
That it's for lower income.
Exactly.
That is not the case anymore. It's a great program.
Low to moderate.
Correct. And if you have a good professional loan rep and a good professional realtor, they should be able to help you work with a program like that. They should know about them and be able to help you work with the program like that.
And there are all kinds of programs now, that being one of them for first-time home buyers. I think it's a great time, and it's when I say it's easy to buy a house, it's easier now to qualify for a house for the right program, but you have to have good credit. These are not bad credit programs. I don't want anybody to think that we're back in those days of the wild, wild west where you had bad credit. You could get any type of loan. There are certain parameters. As Harvey mentioned, Harvey's doing a MSHDA loan right now. And,
And Harry, before we run off, we want to talk about a little about the purchase agreement flow, because I have you here. How important is that purchase agreement and understanding it for families? There's a whole additional box that says additional conditions.
Right.
And a lot of times, Flo, as you know, on an offer, there's a lot of communication back and forth. Nothing can take the place of having things written down. And especially if you're making, let's say, a purchase price over the listing price, you can put in there that you're willing to pay X amount over appraised value and things like this. Flo, just comment on that real quick. We're up against the end of the show. But how important is it to really truly understand that purchase agreement?
It's very important to understand what you're signing. And the purchase agreement is very important because it's the vehicle that drives the whole bus. So your realtor should go over what you're signing with you. And if there's specific conditions that are going to be in that purchase agreement, specifically things that you've requested, you should make sure that they're spelled out properly and everybody can understand them. So I think it's great to have a professional review that.
Flo Apke, you're unbelievable. I love talking with you. You're
Great
fantastic.
Energy, Flo.
If you need some experienced real estate agents, Flo would be your lady for sure. Real Living, Key Realty in St. Clair Shores. Get the experience. Find out the difference between working with agents that have tons of knowledge and maybe not so much. But a pleasure to have you, and we'll definitely get you back on the air.
Much, Flo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great, Flo. We'll see you again. And a happy new year to you, Flo, and your whole office out there. We'll look to do some business with you in 2019. Here, we got to go, but for Rosemary Ashley, for Harry Glanz, I'm Harvey Free. We will see you next Saturday.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.